Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and today I just feel like taking a break from doing versus battles and stuff here, and we're gonna do Goss Harag's Ecology video. Why doesn't he hibernate like most bears do during these blizzards and stuff? It takes full advantage of the cold night and takes advantage of these snowstorms to get a drop on its prey and, well, hit it with the Grim Reaper combo. Let's call it that, right? So Goss Harag obviously has a cryo sac in its throat, right? Being able to create these kind of weapons, and may have actually encountered hunters for so long that it actually idolized their weapons and used them to, well, form its ice blades and form its ice hammer. Meaning that the weapons that probably hunted it were uh long swords, maybe even great swords even, and then you obviously have your hammer. So that ain't really a good look here. But anyway, we're gonna really talk about why Goss Harag doesn't do the whole long hibernation thing. Why doesn't it sleep? Why doesn't it sleep for those long periods of time here like most bears do? Now, if you guys don't know how this works, when I do ecology videos, I like to look at their diets. Then I look at the real life animal comparison or the extinct animal comparison, because some of these animals are comparable to dinosaurs, and then their ecological balance, meaning that their competition, their ecological niche here, where they participate in, and then the subject of the video. But obviously with its diet here, Popo and Enteca are immediately off the table. And I mean, it's pretty simple here. We saw in its intro that it'll eat, pretty much Enteca here, and it'll slice them up probably into bits and just eat them, which is excuse me, something very scary here. And obviously Popo. Now another creature I think it would be able to eat is a Acnosom. And why not? I think an Acnosom is a decent meal for any creature that could get its hands on it, or its claws, if you will. Acnosom is a very decent meal, and it's a small prey specialist. So, in all honesty, it wouldn't really have too much of a defense other than its fireball, which can do some damage, as Goss Harag's weakness is fire. But again, I could see Goss Harag eating it at the end of the day. Great Izuchi. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a problem for Goss Harag either, as well. Every other creature kind of eats it. Barioth eats it. Tigerex eats it. Nargacuja eats it. Then you might say, oh, well, those are the flying cat wyverns. Yeah, okay, I understand what y'all saying. I get it. I get it. But again, it's a prey item still. It's still one of the lower carnivores on the food chain. Plus, if Great Baggy has to avoid Goss Harag here, I don't think Great Izuchi is safe here as well. Speaking of Great Baggy's on the menu too. I don't really see why it wouldn't be on the menu, in all honesty. It's a bird wyvern. It's on the lower level of the food chain, and it gets preyed on by everybody else. Even the likes of a Blangoga is willing to prey on it. Now again, Blangogas are still carnivores and stuff, and probably will pick their teeth with its bones and stuff. But again, Great Baggy just doesn't have the, I guess you say, sleeping power in order to really put down a Goss Harag, at least for a good period of time. Kezu is a very interesting one in my opinion, because on one half, you have the sheer fact that Kezu is actually a threat to possibly baby Goss Harags if they do really raise their cubs in cave systems here, meaning that a Kezu can snatch up a baby Goss Harag, eliminating any future competition. However, Goss Harags may actually make sure that their caves are completely Kezu free before having any offspring. And again, if they kill it, excuse me, that's a good week's worth of meal, probably months. Now, next up, let's talk about everyone's favorite silver platter, Lagambi. I think I've just butchered Lagambi in most of my Arctic videos. I did one for Tidal Najarala, or just Najarala in general, and then one for Zamchios. Everybody is eating this guy. I mean, why not, right? It's a great meal. It's a decent meal as well. Now, you guys might be wondering about this list here. This is basically the list I pretty much came up with of other creatures that Goss Harag can eat. Obviously, Enteca and Popo are pretty much just common, so I really don't focus on them too much. But these creatures are the ones I would actually feel like Goss Harag would actually eat outside of the regular Popo and Ateca. Remember, the monsters do eat each other. Now, you guys might be asking me, why is Aurora Somnicanth here? Why are the Somnicants here in general? And again, we will get into that later in the video. But right now, I think the one thing I really do want to focus on with you guys is the realistic animal comparison, or the real life animal comparison. Now, sure, these guys are still monsters and there's still the mystical element to them. But again, they are still comparable to some real life or previously alive animals. And I actually think the Pleistocene era actually fits with Goss Harag pretty well here. It gives off, to me, it gives off the Arctotherium or the short-faced bear comparison, with a hint and mixture of the cave lion's lifestyle. I do think Goss Harag may actually go through and go around some caves, which will contain Izuchis, some Roggies from time to time, and some Baggies. And he or she would actually use these cave networks and use these smaller creatures in caves to basically fill up their stomach, and may even have a stock reserve for their cubs. Now, again, I'm not sure if they pair up for a decent amount of time, or if the male kind of, has his cave presentable with a large amount of meat for the female. We're not sure how courtship works amongst most monsters, except for Rathalos and maybe even Glavenus. But, we also know how Astalos works as well. So, yeah, it is what it is here. But again, Goss Harag is more comparable to the cave bear, I think, when it comes to his foraging habits, and maybe a little bit of the Arctotherium when it comes to his lifestyle habits. So, in all honesty, with that competition as well between the Arctotherium and the Sabertooths and the cave lions, I think we can honestly get a good look at the creatures that honestly would push any ecological evolution out of hibernation. So let's start off with the Somnicanths, as I promised here. Both Somnicanths and Mizutsune are creatures that do not warrant Goss Harag for an ecological change. The reason why I'm saying that is, one, Mizutsune is way too smart to even try and pick a fight with a Goss Harag. Now you might say, well, it does with Zinogre. No, Zinogre starts that. Zinogre views Mizutsune as prey. Very risky prey because of its, whole bubble body thing. And again, Aurora Somnicanth is a prey item, in my opinion. I just think that Goss Harag can make quick work of it. It's in a higher rank still, and it's still able to, use its frost abilities pretty well. So in all honesty, I just don't see a reason why these guys would be able to not be prey items here. Now again, yeah, Barioth and Tigrex are able to prey on them, as well as other monsters like Magnemala and Rajang, who we will not be counting, because they are invasive species who don't really stay in that area as often as Tigrex. But back to Mizutsune and Somnicanth here, yeah, they really wouldn't pick a fight, or at least warrant the evolutionary response to, yeah, I'm not sleeping that long here. We're going to get this done and we're going to get it going. I'll take a break here. I'll take a little nap here. But I ain't going, out there for long. I ain't going to be staying in here for long during these nice blizzards here. Now, the reason why these two monsters, right, these two Leviathans pretty much warrant this kind of response here, at least for me here, is because, yes, they both visit the Arctic frequently. And then they go to find, I guess, some areas in the volcanic and the river streams pretty much here. But again, they don't stay there that often to warrant an evolutionary response. Tetranodon, you could possibly say yes. However, Tetranodon is another creature I would actually say is a good food source. Now, Goss Harag beating the absolute mess out of it is definitely worth it. Definitely top 5 favorite turf wars in Monster Hunter Rise after that, right? Excuse me. But Tetranodon is a threat to cubs. If a Goss Harag has cubs around, I could actually see this response being warranted. Tetranodon will eat anything. and will try to fit anything in its gut, from stones to even trying to eat Lagombi and Azeros, probably succeeding on a couple of occasions. But the thing about this is that Tetranodon is possibly going to eat a cub. And again, I don't think that a female Goss Harang would really want a monster of that caliber just running around and trying to eat her babies. I just don't really see that. So in all honesty, yeah, I think these three don't really warrant too much of an evolutionary response. And I don't think Tetranodon would be going into caves, but it's definitely a predator-prey item that is worth looking out for and worth killing. Now, obviously, we reached a point to the main reasons of this video. The two that really bring Goss Harang's evolutionary chart, or bring its ancestors' evolutionary chart, out of hibernation. And that would be Tigrex and Barioth, the masters of their own element. Brute force and stealth, the kings of this element. Now, let's start off with Tigrex. Obviously, Tigrex is a hyper carnivore, meaning its metabolism, I guess you could say his metabolism is kind of like digesting a little bit faster, but it's not a rapid eater. It's not going to go from one prey item to the next. It's a hyper carnivore. Its metabolism needs to be fed in order to keep up that bulk, that strength, and definitely that testosterone. Male Tigrexes are just way, way too dangerous during breeding season. It is absolutely ridiculous how, ridiculously strong they get with all that testosterone and all that built up aggression. But Tigrex is a very opportunistic predator. It'll prey on anything. Probably not its own kind, but we can't rule that out either, because we do know reptiles will eat their own young, or at least young members of their own species, if it comes down to it. So, cannibalism isn't really too rare in Monster Hunter, but it's not seen as much. But again, Tigrex will eat other carnivores, to the point where carnivores like Anjanath have to be very wary when they hear a Tigrex in the area. We also know it'll eat Azeros just like Zinogre will, and it probably will eat other. It won't probably. It'll definitely eat other carnivores like Zamtrios, and if it's able to get one, a Blangoga, and obviously they have their feud with Gammoth. However, Barioth is the one I think is the most problematic, and the real reason why Goss Harang would possibly leave, or basically left hibernation altogether. Barioth, being a master of stealth and definitely taking advantage of blizzards, is one of the few reasons why Legianas are so much on guard during the Hoarfrost Reach. And on the Frost Islands, it should be no exception here. Now, carnivores like Fulgur Anjanath, Vipertopic Kadachi, Ebony Odogaron, Glacial like Nactor, Tidal Najarala, not Tidal Najarala. I think Tidal Najarala would actually be able to beat a Barioth. Its armor is way too thick and its venom is way too strong here. But again, Zamtrioses in general, yeah, they're all devastating creatures and all, but they all have to look out for a Tigrex, especially a Zamtrios, because that boy ain't escaping him no time soon. Tigrex are just such profound and such dangerous predators that even Elder Dragon level, monsters can end up on the menu. Beings like Devil Joe and Rajang can get seriously injured, if not killed, if they aren't on their best, or at least aren't paying attention to their environment. Luna Garen, I would also say, is a good reason for Goss Harang to come out of hibernation. Now with the whole rise in Sunbreak, and Luna Garen being basically a prime apex predator of the Arctic, possibly even outcompeting Barioth because of its pack mentality. And again, Luna Garen is an Elder Dragon level monster. It's an absolute beast, a furious beast. But again, I do think Goss Harang is still able to defend itself with its bigger and, I guess you could say, better body mass. Now you might say that may not matter, but I do think Goss Harang may be a little smarter than, and a lot more mobile than Garen Gollum. But at the end of the day here, matter of fact, no, let's not end this just yet. if Goss Harag is in these other world maps, right? If he's in the old world and new world is what I'm trying to say here, then he would already have adapted this long ago here. I mean, in the old world, you have Tato Najarala, Giorogu, you have again Blangoga, things that would actually threaten a young Goss Harag, threaten the cubs of a Goss Harag, and probably bring the mother and its ancestors or the ancestral species of the Goss Harag in general out of hibernation. And I mean, these creatures are very dangerous. Titan Najarala's venom, plus its vibration abilities to have it, use is a form of like echolocation or vibration location throughout these cave systems and being able to pinpoint where it can get its prey. Then you have the New World map and the Hoarfrost Reach. Obviously, Barioth is a problem. Now, Vipertopic Kadachi, I don't think is dumb enough to do it. However, Anjanath is more than bold enough to actually go after a Goss Harag in general. Anjanaths are opportunistic predators, and they will not hesitate to take a Goss Harag off the senses if it's not careful. That paralyzing bite, the lightning beam cannon, or the lightning final flash, if you will, it's a dangerous and devastating predator across the board here. One of the top tier predators, and while I did say I do think that excuse me, I do think that I said in my Filgor Anjanath video that Filgor Anjanath is an invasive species because it follows the herds of Bonboro, it's still an Arctic predator at the end of the day. Ebony Odogaron, while being an invasive species, does visit the Arctic to both hunt and even scavenge other kills here. Goss Harag could be putting itself at risk, leaving caves near or inside of its cave here. And with the bone-crushing jaws of a Ebony Odogaron with the added bite force and the dragon energy to nullify most of Goss Harag's attacks here, I think that Ebony Odogaron is a very big threat to Goss Harag or Goss Harag cubs. So again, at the end of the day here, the main predators I actually see being trouble for Goss Harag are Barioth, Lunagaron, and Tigrex, with Barioth probably being the highest predator as Lunagaron and Tigrex are not always in the Arctic. And my final thoughts on Goss Harag, I like him. I think he does need more. I definitely think he needs a subspecies to make him, I guess you could say, more loved here. I definitely would like a forest version of him. I think that was kind of missing in my opinion. However, he is more comparable to the Arctotherium in the whole, honestly, his whole lifestyle does mimic Arctotherium in a little bit. Especially with him and Barioth having this kind of competition with each other as being apexes of the Arctic here. But at the end of the day here, I do think that Goss Harag left hibernation a long time ago and evolved past it because of these predators, especially Barioth and Tigrex. But that's going to be all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope y'all have a blessed day. Peace.